clear for us that the private sector has a major stake in education and also the potential to help address some of this global learning crisis. And we know the figures are sometimes shocking, that still we have 70 million children out of school. Some of them are dropouts in the secondary level. The majority are the street children that never have entered the classroom. But because of the poor quality of education, we have 250 million children. Either they have passed through some formal education, but they don't know the basics of reading and learning. And that is why, and writing, and that is why we call this a global learning crisis. And when I speak about the private sector, we don't see the private sector simply as a donor. We see the private sector as a partner.
It is an imperative for all of humanity to ensure that that basic universal human right is achieved, which is access to basic education. But then from the corporate point of view, it's really a business imperative. And all the surveys in different parts of the world are telling you that the number one long-term threat that executives find as a threat to their sustainability of their business is on access to talent. And yet the linkages between the business sector and the education sector are not strong enough, and if anything, in some countries they're getting weaker. So it is a business imperative as well as a social and a moral one.
We want businesses to be brought to the table, actually contribute not just in terms of their money, but their know-how, their technical expertise, and contribute in kind as well. Because I think they are great disruptors, and when you think about a crisis, you cannot overcome this crisis if you keep on doing the same things day in, day out, but expect a different result. You need great disruptors, and business people and private sector is a disruptor.
Businesses, they know how to work together, how the companies can leverage their experience across the board, and also I think business is a partner of governments on a long-term basis, and this is where the sustainability point comes.
Particularly where the education is provided from the state sector, it can be difficult sometimes for the business community to know how to engage. But what we've been hearing here today is actually that the schools are quite empowered and are able to form those partnerships with the business community. But sometimes they don't know how to reach out to each other. They don't know how to, so a campaign such as this, can help.
Some companies that actually do some great work in situ, in country. If you just take, I can cite 2 or 3 examples of people working in northern Nigeria for the past few years, and these are big corporate company leaders from London. But then you also have examples of companies working with government policy, because that also matters. Often businesses get told that you don't do enough. However, it's not easy for them to engage with the government. If you say in the UK we have the Academies program, the Free Schools program, that that positively encourage that interaction. In many countries that doesn't exist. It's very difficult to interface. And so by bringing them to the table, you develop this dialogue and an understanding of what each party brings to it. And that, I think, leads to progress.
I think it is the time to act now. We cannot postpone anymore this very strong engagement. Education is a critical tool and enabler also of reaching sustainability, of having societies more inclusive. It is the best ways of social mobility in many parts of the world. It is the best way of responding to conflict, to extremism. It is the best way of responding to climate change, because unless we change the way we think of how we produce and how we consume, how we introduce the notion about sustainable development in education, and it starts at the benches of schools, we cannot achieve whatever nice goals we can reach next year during the COP21 conference in Paris. And this is why we are moving forward with wrapping up the United Nations Decade of Education for Sustainable Development with the very big conference in Nagoya, Japan this year, because we want that this is introduced also in schools. We have to have global citizens. When kids leave schools, they have to know about their rights. They have to know about the impact on the environment. We want them to be culturally literate. We want to have them responsible citizens, to take up their lives in their own hands. So this is also where business can help us.